The topic of the day is inheritance. So I'm going to take the code that the platform has and I'm going to sort of build on it. Okay. The assignments for today, there's a practice assignment of devices, which um, would give you good practice for the actual core assignment, which is Zookeeper. Okay. So I'm going to sort of go with an animal theme for my lecture just to sort of, I think it helps. And actually, the Java platform uses this as the example when they talk about classes and inheritance. So we're going to make some animals. It's going to be kind of, weird that we're making animals, but it's a good way to understand inheritance and the relationships between classes. Okay, so I'm not going to do Zookeeper, but I'm going to sort of lead into it. The other thing I mentioned before for today, the Spring Suite tools, you're welcome to try it out. I'm not going to use it though. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. If you do want to use it and you do have questions, obviously Vincent's used it. He knows what he's doing. I kind of know what I'm doing. I can figure it out. So if you want to use that, you're welcome to. But if it gets kind of challenging, feel free to use Visual Studio Code. All right. So the next topic is packages, and packages are relatively new in Java. I think they started using them in Java 9, and packages can cause problems, right? Fernanda was having issues yesterday, and the issues that she was having with compiling had to do with packages. Okay. Somebody asked a question like on the first day, we had a test class and another class, and the question was, do I need to compile both, or will the test class compile if I compile the one file? And that was a very good good question, right? Because how does it know? So with packages in Java, we're going to use a dependency management tool called Maven. You don't have to install this yet. I'm going to start using it in the demo, but you don't have to. Okay. You can just make packages and stuff the way you've normally been doing it, but I'm going to use it just to sort of get you guys used to Maven, because it's the file structure is a little bit rigid and we're going to be needing to get used to it as we go forward. So I'm going to go to Visual Studio Code. Any questions about anything so far?
I have a question. Is
Yeah.
Maven the same or similar to Gradle?
Yes, Gradle is another dependency management tool. Gradle uses a a language in the Java or JW, you know, what is it? Not JWT. That's Java Web Tokens. The JVM, there's a language called Groovy that compiles to the bytecode that runs on the JVM. Gradle's a little bit more complex, right? Because you have to use use Groovy to be able to compile. So Maven is just
Mm,
sort of what can I compare it to? Maven is kind of like NPM,
got it.
or when you did Python. Am I sharing my screen? Yeah. When you did Python, your Python teacher probably didn't mention it just to not muddy the waters, but when you installed Flask, you installed Flask from a repository called PyPy. It's PYPI. So if you want a dependencies associated with Python, if I search for Flask, that's where Flask comes from. So when we do pip install Flask, this is where we get it. Okay. And same thing
Hmm.
with npm. If you install, npm install React, you get that from npm. For Maven, there's a central Maven repository that has all the dependencies we're going to use going forward. So think of Maven as sort of like kind of like npm or like PyPy for Python.
Got it.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? Give me just that. Okay, back to the topic. So I'm going to build, excuse me, not bank accounts. And don't save. Oh, that was it. That was what I wanted. Okay, so we're going to start with packages. I'm going to, the demo for the day, I'll just do the demo down here. The demo is going to be animals. So I'm going to say /animals. So I'm going to generate that folder. Oh, I made it a file. That's fine. Actually, no, that's not what I want. I want a directory called animals. And I'll just put a README in here. There we go. That's what I want. All right. So I'm going to create a Maven project. Again, you don't have to do this. Everybody understand you don't have to do this. Nod. Okay, cool. Saying nodding. Okay. So I'm going to do, just to tell you what I'm doing Control-Shift-P. And I want to go here to where it says generate, or it's Java : generate or create Java project. Okay, so this will create the file structure associated with a Maven project. So here you see Gradle here, you see Spring Boot, right? These are different ways you can create a Java project. So Gradle would be the other alternative, but Maven is, in my experience, far more popular than Gradle. Gradle's popular, but Maven is definitely more popular. So I'm going to select Maven as my dependency manager. Archetype, don't worry about that. We don't need an archetype. So I'm going to select no. And this is where packages come in. So the convention that Java follows is what's known as the reverse domain name convention. So the idea is they don't want to have any collisions with any other Java code that is generated by anybody else, right? So if I make a method called Tyler's awesome method, right? And the other Java or the other Tyler, the Coding Dojo, makes the same method because he likes to copy me. We don't want those methods to conflict, right? So I'm going to put my Tyler's awesome method in a different package than his, right? So I own, because I'm a web dev nerd, I own the domain tylermaxwell.co. So I'm going to make that my package. So co.tylermaxwell. Okay, so the whatever the website or web, URL that you use for your company, it's going to be, that's going to be the base package that you're going to put everything in. Okay, so if I want to have a different part of my application, I can keep adding packages. So tylermaxwell.co.server, right? Or whatever. Okay, so this ensures that there's no collisions, and you'll see this pattern as we go forward and add dependencies. The dependency will be called org.junit or org.whatever the dependency is, okay? So you don't have to do this. You can just make it your first name or whatever you want for your package. And then this will be the name of the application. So if you're doing a homework assignment, this is going to be bank accounts or Zookeeper or Daikichi routes, whatever assignment you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to call it animals. Okay, and it will ask me where I want to build it. So I'm going to put it in code day 3, and I'm going to put it in the animals directory that I made. Okay, so I'm going to select destination folder, click OK, and now you'll see that if I look in animals, well, animals inside animals, there's the animals package, the parent name or the artifact name, and inside animals there's an SRC. And I'm going to open this in a separate window so we can see what's going on. So I'm going to open this in the integrated terminal. So we can see that we have this SRC, which you guys saw before in React, right? The SRC is just sort of the convention as the source directory. If I open that, you'll see a main, and there's layers and layers and layers of directories. So we go into main, into Java, and then here's the packages that I created when I established my application. So it's Tyler Maxwell, and then inside of this base package, or I guess, yeah, base package, is all my code. So it generated this main entry point for me. Okay. Any questions about this so far?
Yeah, so every assignment that we do from here on out will have to be a project via whatever those four things you named, right? The honestly don't even remember what this was called already.
Yes, thank you for asking that. The answer is no. No. You don't have to do this. Okay, so you can continue doing what you've been doing so far. You can just make a simple directory, put your files in it. The reason I'm doing this is you're going to have to get used to this file structure. And the first time you see it, it's going to be weird. So I'm sort of front loading it for you. You can just ignore everything above this and say, pretend like my package is called, or the assignment is called Tyler Maxwell. Okay, does that answer your question, Nathan?
Yeah, kind of. So if we're going to ignore everything above that, and we're only going to be creating the regular stuff that we've been creating, if we are we ever going to run into where we need this? What is that? Pom.xml and the source stuff like that.
Yep.
So
So
how do we
if you want to follow this
those?
pattern, I encourage you to, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I need to write down everything you just did to
I'll do it again.
remember.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it again. Yeah, because I'm probably, this is what they pay me the big bucks for. I do this 1,000 times because it's tricky. It's a lot to. They don't pay me the big bucks, by the way, but that seeing it a bunch of times really helps. So I'm actually going to just do it again. So let's go back. I'm going to close this, and I shouldn't have done that. Let's open recent November. So here is where I generated this project. I'm going to throw it away. Oh, won't let me do it. Why not? Okay, I'm just going to make another one then.
Is it because you have it open in your VS Code?
No, I thought I closed it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's closed. Okay, that's cool. Just make another one. So Control Shift P. That'll open up the Visual Studio Code. I forget what they call this. They have a special name for it. If you just start, if mine comes up because I've
called the command palette.
Command palette. Thank you. Yes. So mine comes up because I've done this a bunch. But if you don't see it, just start typing Java : and you should see create Java project. It should come up. Okay. Select that. And you're going to select the Maven build tool. Okay. Then don't worry about the archetype. You're just going to say no archetype. This is where you specify your reverse domain. Okay. So again, for me, co.tylermaxwell.co. Or just it's the reverse of my domain. So it's co.tylermaxwell. I can spell.
So what would be a good naming convention for that right there if we don't have a domain?
Call it
like what
name.
Is a recommended name to have that?
Just make something up. If you want to have it be, nathangreen.com, it's probably taken, but .org doesn't matter, right? So you're just, as long as it's unique, nobody else has it, then that's fine. And for our purposes, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to use the code you write in a boot camp, right? So it's just make something up. You can just put your name. It's fine.
But just to know on the assignments, what would we do if we were doing like bank account assignment? Would it be like com.drop.bank account? Is that what you mean? Like, could we put
No,
something
so
like
you're
that?
going to have the package, and then you're going to have the next after I do this is going to be the name of the assignment. So first you create your package. Then when I hit enter, it's going to say, what do you want the artifact to be? The artifact is the actual project, right? So I'm going to call this mammals. Shoot, how do you spell mammal? M-A, or two M's? Mammal. Z. Okay, so if you're doing bank accounts, this would be bank accounts right here. All right. But I'm just going to give it mammals. Actually, yeah. Yeah, we'll go with it. Okay. Then when I hit enter, it's going to ask me where I want it. So I'm going to navigate into code, day 3, and I can just put it in animals, I guess. I'll just put it in here. Okay. Select destination folder, and it will generate all the code that I need. So it'll regenerate the source, the POM, and when we do Spring Boot, it'll do more than that, but that's good for now. Okay, so any questions so far?
Just like a minor question would be, so we're doing all this through the command palette because that's very different as to like how we've been installing things through the terminal in the last few stacks.
Yeah, that's just the way. We're not going to be installing anything via the terminal. I mean, you're going to install Maven, but everything that we're going to need to install will be handled through the POM file. So any dependencies we need, we're going to edit this file and put them in here. Okay, so it's kind of like, I mean, if you think about React, it would be like going to your package.json file and typing in the dependency you need and the version number, which would actually work, right? You can go into your package.json, say, type in, I want nodemon with this version, and hit npm install. It'll go out and install the package. So we're just sort of doing it in a different order. Okay. Any other questions? Let me just get a quick, make sure I haven't lost anybody. If I have lost you, please say so. Okay.
I don't know if we've gotten this far, but are you going to explain what all this stuff is inside the POM XL? Is it
Yep.
POM? I can't tell. POM?
POM. Yeah. Yeah. Is it too small?
No, it's just kind of blurry a little bit.
Okay.
It might just be my screen.
Zoom in a little bit. Yeah, I'll talk about, I mean, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but I'll talk about the POM. Is that better? Is that too big? Okay. Okay, that's not good. I've lost 2 people. Okay, let me share the results. Oh, so any other questions? I want to make sure everybody's okay. If you're a little lost, I mean, you feel like I can go forward. Okay. Okay. Cool.
I am just a little bit lost of like of the reason like we are creating this folder structures. You said we don't need to use it if we don't like it, but we should use it.
Yeah, that is kind of weird, huh? Let me clarify. So tomorrow or Friday, we're going to be using Spring Boot, right? In my experience, students are slowed down a lot because they're not used to the file structure, right? It's weird, it's different. So I'm doing this because I want you guys to sort of start to see it and get used to it. So it's not a total shock when you see it on tomorrow or Friday. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So because I mean, granted, it's weird, right? It's like, why do we have this source? Why is there a main? Like, what the hell's going on here, right? Why do we have a Java, right? Why are we burying this stuff in packages? So this is just because this is how Maven does it, right? Maven, this is their pattern, their format they use, and it's just something we have to get used to. Okay. Does that make sense? That help? Does everybody feel better?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to restart the video because I got kind of long. That's going to be my package talk. So let me